Here we are, the four Bs. You know, the usual suspects are back up in the house. And Mr. All In, aka the $1 trillion man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, she's not here, Mrs. No Show. No show, right?
You shared the link, though.
Yeah, we shared the link.
Mrs. We shared the link now, yeah.
Yeah, she's missing again. Pod 66.
Yeah, we've got a good agenda for Pod 69, so maybe that's a good one to join.
Let's do it. For sure. So, quiet week in the world of Bitcoin, right?
Kinda. There's a little bit of drama going on now, some good developments. I think it's, I don't know, I haven't been paying a huge amount of attention, but the drama's quite good this week.
Yeah.
Especially with our first story here.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you know, actually, before we do it, I would actually like to say I read Lynn Alden's August newsletter. Pretty good. And also she's done a piece on Lightning, which is very long and lengthy. But she's done this to really try and highlight to the masses the opportunity that Lightning brings to everybody, and also standard defunks the myth that Bitcoin's super slow, that the common person says in terms of transactions, and that it will never work. So as you would expect, very insightful, well-written piece.
Yeah, I did skim read Lynn's August update. It's so long.
You need to take time out for it. Yeah, it's in chunks.
Yeah, a lot of charts, a lot of graphs, a lot of like stuff, and I'm kind of scrolling it around, just going, all right. The problem is, I think it's sometimes like it's almost so detailed and kind of goes over my head. It's almost like some of the conclusions she draws, I can't really dispute it, because it's just, there's so much knowledge that she has of like decades of various economies and how they've developed, how they rose, how they fell, and then she'll link back to them and reference it. I'm like, I don't get half these references. I'm not well enough informed. It's almost like just too good. But it is one of the most comprehensive newsletters I think you can get. And it's free as well, isn't it? So,
and for free, exactly.
Just
and the fact that the fact she does that for free, and it is so in-depth and insightful. I think $200 or something is the annual subscription.
Yeah. She uses that, I think, monthly one to like bait you in, because it's like that's the generic macro one. But then if you want to drill down into individual stuff, like she then does others as well.
I mean, I'm thinking with that one, you must get massages and special hand jobs with the $200, because the fact that the free one, you get a lot for your money, which is zero. It made me also look back on a podcast that she did with Raoul Paul as well, because they're both macro investors. And it kind of felt like, and this was nearly a year ago, that he was picking her brains to really get insight, because he clearly knew that she's pretty good at this. And he kept on saying, well, I know my view on this. What's yours?
Yeah, in reality, he doesn't know shit. Raoul's just a massive scammer. He just parrot speak what he hears from other people, just to shill a paid group that basically shilled shitcoins to people. That's how he made a load of his money. Like, he lost loads of money in shitcoins over the last couple of years.
What was his most recent one? I swear there's a really recent one where he lost a shitload of cash.
Yeah, but he was charging $2,500 a month for his newsletter.
Wow.
People pay it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, people do pay it. I was, interestingly enough, speaking with Bitcoin Suisse, the division of Credit Suisse that just simply accepts Bitcoin for both institutional investors and obviously retail investors as well. During the bull run, they said that the average entry value they increased was to $100,000 just to test Bitcoin out as well. And they were inundated still. So there's a lot of people that are out there just with money and clearly, happy to throw it away.
Sweet.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, so the first story, it's our favorite Giga Chad. And he's in a bit of hot water this week because he's being sued for tax evasion. Because we have this Carl Racine, he's isn't just a nobody, he's actually the official DC Attorney General for Washington. And his accusation is that Saylor lives in Washington and should pay taxes there. But what Saylor's version of the story is, he spends a bit of time in Washington, but he lives in Florida, which has much better taxes. And they disagree. And so they obviously feel they have enough evidence to say that Saylor lives in Washington for their district attorney, their top guy, to come after him for tax evasion. They've also sued MicroStrategy, accused them of enabling this tax evasion. So it's a double whammy. Who knows what is going to come of it? I don't think Saylor's commented yet. It could be a bit of a frivolous lawsuit, but normally these types of lawsuits are like from individuals and maybe a company or something, and that's very like, whatever, who cares if someone like that sues Saylor? Normally that is just someone trying to get attention. But this guy, he represents right at the top. He's literally the most senior legal official in Washington, and he's suing Saylor for tax evasion. It's a biggie.
Yeah, it is a biggie, and surprise, surprise, they're probably trying to take him down for a reason, no doubt.
Oh yeah, the fact that he's a Bitcoiner is undoubtedly not against.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say on his tweets, like if you have a look through, like we go Happy Labor Day, 26 likes, 7 likes, 10 likes, 51 likes, 143, 152, 24, 38, 34, 25. And it's literally Michael Saylor. So his top one is 124 or something. Oh no, we got one below 253. But in the hundreds, and his one about Michael Saylor is 37,300. So you got a lot of people who are kind of like in the crypto space, like F-heads or XRP or whatever the hell that shitcoin they're into, who are loving this because he is a bit of a representation of the Bitcoin community.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, death and taxes, right? I don't believe that there is really a case, but if they're going to try and make one, they've put AG Carl Racine in charge to find one.
Yeah,
I'd
be amazed. I'd be amazed if Saylor falls foul to something this basic, because it's just
correct.
Like it's just very obvious. Like he would know what the tax law is in Washington and Florida. I'm not sure what it is, but normally it's if you stay over 180 days in any one place, then you're now liable for tax. There's normally that. I think some states in America have less than that. It can be as low as 90 or something. But he would know, right? And so why would he just accidentally go over that number? Because then it's such a big thing. Because I mean, tax in Washington is like 50%. Tax in Florida is 0. So is he going to lose half of income by spending a little bit too much time in Washington? Man, if he did, that is such a rookie error. And Saylor does not strike me as the kind of guy that makes a rookie error like that.
No, not at all. And I think as well, given the fact that probably it's just trying to take him down by the fact that he's been CEO of MicroStrategy for such a long time. He's been winning for so long, obviously with the Bitcoin piece as well. But with Bitcoin being down, hurt him whilst things are bad right now. So maybe they can just shut all of this noise down. And then there's no more replicas, is there? Really, we look at Michael Saylor as the guy that we want others to copy and follow. But if they can take him down for this reason, which is obviously nothing Bitcoin related, but just take him down, it'll it'll scare others off from even trying.
It does just seem like a really basic thing, like tax evasion. You know, what's the typical outcome? A fine, isn't it?
Or prison.
You have to pay the tax plus the fine, yeah. And the thing is, the difference in this one, it could be you could owe billions.
Yeah,
Differently, because it's the difference is between 0 and 50%, and it depends on how many years they're suing him for. It could be 1 year, could be 2, could be 3, could be 10.
yeah, exactly. It's probably got no limitation.
Yeah, he could literally. This could bankrupt Saylor in reality. Like if this is like a 20-year thing, and they want like 50% of 20 years earnings plus a fine on top, with the way Saylor has run his business and leveraged debt for various things, he won't have that cash on hand. He's going to have to sell assets and find money. And this is where it could get scary a little bit for Bitcoin, because he's gone on, I'd never sell my Bitcoin. It's like,
correct.
Okay, but the problem is you went into leverage, and we talked about this when you went into leverage. Like, it probably wouldn't happen to someone like Saylor, but it always could. And this is the type of example where even if you're a billionaire, if they want half your money over the last 20 years, no one can afford that, not even billionaire land. So
it's whether it's his stake in MicroStrategy or his Bitcoin man to pay the fines and missing taxes. But it does, it does reek, like you said, someone like Saylor making a basic mistake like this. He'll have a PA who organizes his schedule, and like one of the things on the schedule be, do not make sure they spend the majority of his time in Florida when you're doing his schedule, because he needs to be there for tax reasons. Otherwise, it'll cost X. It'll be one of those high up points, along with, I don't know, Michael Saylor doesn't like getting woken up before 9:30.
Yeah, I think Saylor is the type of guy, strikes me as though he counts. He would be able to count the minutes and the seconds of where he is or was in a day, on whatever day, recalling back in the past. So naturally, there's 24 hours in the day. He'll tell you, well, actually, I only spent 22 hours in said location. So therefore, that doesn't class as a day. And, it'll all build up to be like, your whole lawsuits should be out of here. So nice try, but jog on.
Yeah, so it just seems like it's probably something to get his reputation. So when he's referred to in the papers, he can be referred to as
ex-tax dodger,
or it could be accused tax dodger, associated tax dodger, and then mention the Bitcoin. So it's a bit of a stain. So it's an interesting one. Like Mr. Orland said, when Bitcoin's low, go for him, because this is time to strike to stop it rising again.
Yeah,
but I also think
to fight back.
But you kind of go, he isn't the CEO of Bitcoin. He isn't the CTO of Bitcoin. He is just a holder of Bitcoin. And we need to remember that Bitcoin is free. It is decentralized from people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to disincentivize other people from maybe being as high profile and going for it. It's one of those things, isn't it, where it's, if you rise up, we're going to look at everything. We're going to analyze everything you've done ever. I'm going to try and find something. And it looks like they think they found somewhere in his history, he spent too many days in Washington. They've gone, great. And who knows, they probably would never have audited him if he wasn't so high profile as a Bitcoiner.
Yeah. So they'll be looking at his jets, they'll be looking at his flights, they'll be looking at boat charters, everything.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of like, there might be a spell here. I hope it's a rookie error, because it'd be hilarious if Saylor announced it. Oh, they've tried to do me for these days, but if you look at it, I was in X.
Yeah.
I think it's just something for the newspapers and CNN and whatever news channels.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's been others, isn't there? Like Donald Trump. I mean, is there a case where he could file for bankruptcy, but obviously still not be bankrupt, and therefore, he gets around it that way?
I think there are dodges because I think they put it into a limited company. So I know there's been various people like 50 Cent
Yeah,
done like the bankruptcy dodges, but I don't know the ins and outs.
yeah. I mean, Donald Trump's pleaded bankrupt 4 times, I think. So, yeah, I don't worry for him too much.
I was actually surprised to even hear that anytime in Washington, because in my mind, I thought Saylor was like on a boat somewhere, like just going around the Bahamas and just dipping in and off these islands totally in tax havens away from America. But he clearly isn't. He clearly is in the system. And yeah, so talking how he does is proving a risk. And someone did pull out a podcast that he was on where they go, you know, someone can never seize your Bitcoin, and if they really try, you can just disappear. So it's going to be interesting now to see whether he does that, because depending on the outcome of this, they might well be pressuring him to go, look, we need an amount of money that requires him to sell some Bitcoin. Is he gonna? Because it's clearly probably going to be a bit of a frivolous thing. They're kind of picking through and finding, maybe trying to get him on a technicality. What's his decision going to be? Is he going to get on the boat and fuck off?
Because our guy John McAfee did that for a while.
Yeah, look how it turned out for him.
Exactly.
He got suicided off within 6 months, didn't he?
Yeah, allegedly.
I was watching some of the documentary the other night, because that's on Netflix, and it's just going through his time in around, was it Belize and Nicaragua?
Yeah.
So with a potential murder of his neighbor, but I haven't finished it yet. But it looks like it ends just after he comes back to the US and he's running for like elections and all sorts in 2016.
Yeah, it ends with his suicide. Well, his suicide.
Oh, does it? Oh, I've got another like 30 minutes, so I just haven't got around to watching the last half an hour.
With the body that no one's ever seen.
Yeah, they refused to show the body, refused all sorts, didn't they? Weirdly, it ends so weirdly. I think this ending was total bullshit. But one of his ex-girlfriends, weirdly, he starts a documentary with this girl from Belize, and she is on it at the end, looking very different. She's like 40 now.
That's what I was going to say. It was like 10 years. I was just like, Jesus, you look 30 years older.
Yeah, it's over quite a long. John was an old guy. So I think he's like 70, John, in the end.
Yeah, 70s,
yeah.
This girl, but it was like 2012, and she looked like 20, and it was like 2022. She looked 50.
Yeah, time had not been kind to her. But weirdly, her last line is, John called me yesterday and wants to meet up. He's still alive. And I was like, fuck off. Like, I don't believe John's alive. I think he got killed by the US government because he embarrassed them by publicly saying he's not going to pay any taxes and he owes them millions. And they can go fuck off because they're corrupt and doing all their illegal wars and money printing. And he was a much more volatile, violent sailor. So they're going after both of them for the same reason, but I think Saylor's will be concluded much more amicably, whereas John, yeah, he was just like, fuck you the whole way. And they knew he would never shut up. So
yeah. We're seeing a lot of this also with Kanye West as well. Yeah, so he's put out a series of posts on his Instagram about how, funnily enough, as we were talking just before, the Adidas have offered him $1 billion to essentially step away. Like, they feel like they've got enough ideas and enough trainers, and then they can just remix them with colors without his say so. And he's just like, no, that's not how it works. You know, I'm not going away from this. I want continued full control and creativity. I'm already getting 500 million a year from like royalties this year. 68% of all online sales are my trainers in terms of Adidas trainers. I'm the face of this. Like, I'm part of all of this.
Like, you're toxic now. Please leave.
Correct. Yeah. He also demanded that Jamie Dimon jump on a phone call with him because I think somebody that sits on the Adidas board is also sat on the JP Morgan board as well. And Kanye was just like, I just moved 140 million into JP Morgan. The least you can do is get Jamie Dimon on the call with me. Didn't happen. So yeah, he's too toxic.
Yeah, he's another one that I have noticed that he's going a little bit. He was a little bit nuts before. Like
Yeah.
he was outspoken. He's always been outspoken, hasn't he? But he seems to have finally realized that the American government and money is corrupt, and he's starting to talk about the Clintons and George Soros, Jimmy Dimon.
What's wrong with the Clintons? They're a lovely couple.
Yeah, it's all their friends commit suicide. Just nothing.
Isn't it? Was in the immediate circle, as in first-hand contacts, there's some like 50 people, aren't there?
Yeah,
There was a lot of security people in there.
Yeah. So he needs to be a little bit careful, because obviously he's super outspoken, isn't he? I wouldn't be surprised to hear in the coming months that he randomly has like a drug overdose or something. You know, essentially he'll get suicided off as well, or like drug overdosed off, because speaking out just about random things about the industries and whatever. But once you go for the US government and you go for money, they're like, oh shit, he's found the real one now. Like now he's actually dangerous. He's coming after the Clintons. Like, oh fuck. And he needs to take a few extra pills tomorrow night, because we don't want him waking up.
It was a really funny one. Was about, I don't know, about maybe it was 24 posts of each individual member of the Adidas board and a picture of them, but just underneath saying, super nice person sharing the positivity. This is the sarcasm.
So aggressive thing ever.
Correct.
I love these 24 people.
Yeah.
Clearly not love any of these
posting each individual one of them. So yeah, we'll see how he gets on with that. Cool. Should we move on? So this is a discovery that you came across, Mr. Allin. Peach, a new app that lets you buy up to €100 KYC AML free Bitcoin.
Yeah, man. And it's available in Europe. This is probably the biggest reason why I put it on here, because so often this type of stuff gets launched. It's nearly always American, nearly always. And like by the time it comes out of beta, and we're waiting years, you know, it's just like Strike. Strike's been around for ages. Good luck getting it. And in the UK, we just now can't get it. Peach Bitcoin, you can get it. And essentially why it's so good is they do it under €100. So there's no identity verification. You can just download the app. They don't need to know who you are. And what they do is very interesting. It's almost like Tinder, but for buying and selling Bitcoin. So what you do is you go in there and you go, how much Bitcoin do you want to buy? And it's anything from £10 to £100. And you just click one of the things. So I just went, I'll buy £10 of Bitcoin on here. I want to test it out. And then what happens is they went, and it's out on how do you want to pay as well. And so they had a Revolut thing. So I went, okay, I'll pay on Revolut. I don't want to pay bank transfer, PayPal, anything like that. I just want to pay through Revolut. So I clicked £10 Revolut. And I was like, oh, and I'm UK based. So then it flicks over and like, you've got 4 matches. So 4 people were willing to sell Bitcoin to me. One was at 2% over market price, one at 2.5%, one at 3%, one at 4% or something. So there's a load of people here willing to sell Bitcoin to me, £10 of it, for a markup. That was their profit, and sell it to me through Revolut as well. So I matched with one of these offers. I matched with like the cheapest offer. I went, okay, I'll pay 2% over market rate. That's fine, about the same as an exchange. I'll pay 2% more to get this £10. I got matched to this guy. The Bitcoin got put in escrow within Peach. I could see the Bitcoin was sat there. I went off to Revolut. I got his username in Revolut. It was very weird. I had to come out of that app completely. I went into Revolut, my banking app, sent this random guy £10. It felt weird. Did it. And then there's a chat thing within there, and just went, I've sent it. And you went, okay, cool, got it. And he released the Bitcoin, and it doesn't come to your wallet in Peach. It went to my Blue wallet. So a completely
Mm.
my wallet that I can now, I've got the hardware wallet for that. So it was ace, and it all happened within 5 minutes. 5 minutes of me putting the bid on, I got matched. I accepted the match. I then went into Revolut, sent money. He obviously went off and sent the Bitcoin, and I received it and I paid. I got £10 of KYC free Bitcoin. It was pretty sweet. And the way they control it is because obviously there's a lot of things that can go wrong there.
I was going to say, yeah.
They don't want to take custody of the Bitcoin. They don't want to take custody of the money because suddenly then they become a financial institution and all the KYC and AML stuff happens. All they're doing is matching people together, and then we're just exchanging relatively small amounts of money outside of their system. So, but the good thing is they got a reputational system in there. So everyone's out of 5 stars. So if anyone messes about, accepts a bid, doesn't pay, or takes ages to pay, you can mark them down on the stars. So they're less likely to get filled. Or if you match with that person as an offer, you're like, no, that person's got 2 stars. I'm not even going to bother looking at them. Even if they're the cheapest price, they're a messer. I'll go with this guy, a little bit more expensive, but he's 5 stars. I know I'll get my Bitcoin from this guy. So they're doing it based on trust. They're trying to do it peer-to-peer. They're trying to do it decentralized. Because if anyone brings down Peach, all that happens is we lose the facility to do this, but no one loses any money and no one loses any Bitcoin. That's what's genius about it, obviously. And there's no way of Peach taking custody of your Bitcoin because you have to put an address where you want to receive it in Peach. So, and they don't give you an address. They're like, you have to have a Bitcoin address to use this service. We're not going to give you one. You cannot have a Bitcoin here. We don't want your Bitcoin ever. You have to have a place to send it. It was pretty good.
So in theory, you could use it every week or every day and do €100. But it's times so you could get or is there any kind of limit set on it?
Yeah, there is a limit. I think the limit was, I'd have to check it. Let's have a look.
While you're doing that, so you downloaded Test Flight. Is that the mechanism?
Yeah. So at the moment, you do have to do that. So it's in private beta at the moment. Yeah. So you have to go on their website. If you're on iPhone, you have to register. I think if you're on Android, you can download it straight away because they have an open system.
On Google Play, you have to register and it'll send me an email. So I did it just before. So I meant to do it, but I kind of thought I want to have a bit of a play. It's like lightning. I want to, see what's going on.
Yeah, I haven't had time to get around to it. I got the email, I was looking for it. So I've got to download Test Flight and then I've got my specific number and then start testing.
Yeah, it's great. The app could be a little bit more user friendly. It's a little bit, a little bit plain. I can see the limit now. So the daily trading limit, essentially it's 1,000 euros a day. So pounds, it's £883. So okay. I think, daily trading.
Even though it's non-KYC.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that is what the KYC laws say. You don't need KYC if you're doing it under €1,000.
And yeah, it came down to €1,000. But I don't know what the time limit is ultimately, but I think overall, if you trade over, it's either 2,000 or 10,000, I should know in total, then there needs to be some sort of KYC performed as well.
Yeah, I was going to say at some point it does trigger a KYC within a year.
Yeah, I think the interesting I think will be is, have they found a loophole here? I think you might be right, and maybe they haven't. But I think what they're doing is a little bit like eBay, where they're just going, look, people are just getting together here and exchanging anything from £10 to £100 worth of goods. It happens to be money, and
eBay has limits again. You hit beyond a certain selling limit on eBay, it automatically put as a shop, so you should be putting forward taxes. So you have to be registered as a company.
Okay, right.
Well, maybe these are the things, though, as we were talking, that they are trying to flush out because it's still in beta mode.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. This I've signed up for it, so I want to have a bit of a play, look at the limits, and understand it because it's not so much I've had really active overview for probably about 5 years now.
I think you make a really good point there, Mr. Orlin, the fact that it is here in the mirror. I've got it here. It's actively telling you to take screenshots and to send it back to us and to describe your thoughts of how things have gone. So yeah, gonna do it.
Yeah, it's a great idea, right? And it's just one of those horrible things that, like, this is why I always had this type of idea to expand Bitcoin lessons into this type of thing. I never went there just because I know that if your app's successful, people are going to want to buy loads of Bitcoin through it, and then just going to get hit by these financial regulations, and I don't believe in any of them. It's just that they're a load of bollocks, and I just would hate to have had to put KYC into my app. I never would have wanted to do it. And who knows? I'd imagine probably behind the scenes of this, all I can see is daily limit is €1,000. So maybe if I max that out, it might then go, right, that's your daily limit. You can only do one of them a month or something. Who knows?
Well, you are the $1 billion man now that we're on the bear run. So you've still got the money for it. So yeah, I think it's worth us all having a bit of investigation, because it is kind of like a step forward, something which we've got to look at and work out how it works, what the limits are, whether it's worth doing the DCA for it. Having a nice little stock of Satoshis which are non-KYC'd.
Yeah. It also just goes to show, doesn't it, that, as we always say, we're so early in the game that these new innovations of how we're going to interact and use Bitcoin coming out. So yeah, we need to test them.
Yeah, it's like playing with Blue Wallet for the first time.
Yeah,
I think we did that many moons ago on the show, and it was, really straightforward. You just go, oh, this is piss easy. It's just an address.
Yeah, Bitcoin is really, really easy. It's kind of crazy that, because it's easy to buy Bitcoin on Revolut, but then you have to wait, you have to send it out. Obviously, it's from a KYC'd account. So now, that by sending it from Revolut to my wallet, I now basically told the UK government that that's my wallet, because it wouldn't have gone there otherwise. But on this one, I can create a new wallet. I can download Peach. I can get genuine, the Revolut money that went in. All that they've got record of is I sent £10 worth of value to this random guy. They have no clue why. They don't know that behind the scenes that guy sent me. At the time, it was 50,000 sats, and I have that in a wallet. They have no clue where it is. So yeah, it's genuine KYC free Bitcoin. So let's just say you're in a situation where Saylor is, and you get done for tax evasion or whatever. Your KYC Bitcoin that you've bought through Coinbase or whatever, or through Revolut, wherever it is, that is not private. You can joke about losing it in a boating accident all day long. They won't believe it. They will go, fuck it, we want it. And if you're not going to give it us, we'll put you in prison. Whereas this Bitcoin, they don't know it exists. So you can just pretend, you have no knowledge of it, and they can't go, you have to send that Bitcoin to me. But
it's building up to a decent amount. So, as we suspect, there'll be a number of limits. It's trying to build it up to that general limit, unless you're planning on, hyper Bitcoinization, where governments are still trying to hunt people down, and it's something to live off for a while until the government finally dies off.
Yeah.
If anything, I just use it now and try and do DCA for it now.
Get
as much non-KYC Bitcoin as you can, potentially before this gets shut down. Yeah. 1,000 a day, you can get that up to a decent level pretty quick. And what I want to experiment with a little bit as well, like imagine you're like just converting your KYC Bitcoin into non-KYC Bitcoin. You could make a profit on that, right? So depending on who you're matching with, you could grab your €1,000 of Bitcoin and go, I want to convert this. This is KYC Bitcoin, and I want non-KYC Bitcoin. What you could do is put it up for sale in €100 chunks and go, I'm willing to sell this for 5% over the market rate. And then when you go to buy it, go, I'm going to be patient and I'll buy it for 2% over the market rate. So you made 3%.
Arbitrage. That's the one.
Yeah.
But it's the unpredictable price of Bitcoin, which I think's, the issue there whilst we're in volatile times before it actually gets a stable base. So you never know. But I suppose the potential losses would still be minute in the timeframes that you're talking about. So it could be worth it because you'd have your non-KYC Bitcoin in the future anyway. So even if you take a 10% loss, it's still, I've got non-KYC'd.
Yeah, and you shouldn't really be taking the 10% loss, really. You should be, it should take you no more than an hour or so to convert both ways. But
yeah.
Oh, so from one new innovation to another, which leads us on quite nicely to the fact that Trezor and Wasabi link up to provide CoinJoin natively on a hardware wallet. Again, another story that you found, Mr. Orland. Do you want to walk and talk us through this one? The first hardware wallet with on-device CoinJoin.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously we talk about CoinJoin a lot, but it's tough to do, right? So Wasabi is something I've used, but it's a separate thing. You have to download it separately. You have to load your Bitcoin into it. Then you have to put it through Wasabi. It goes and get CoinJoins, and then you get it back. And once you got it back, you can send it on to where you want. But it's a whole separate service. Whereas obviously most people use Trezors, Ledgers, whatever hardware wallet you use. Now, they haven't shared any intimate detail about what this exactly means, but Trezor at least said they have it on the device as CoinJoin, which you would hope, I'm saying guessing here, but a speculation, but your various wallets that sit within Trezor, hopefully there'll just be a nice little button next to it that says CoinJoin. And if you click that button, it will charge you, it'll tell you how much it's going to cost. Maybe it'll be 5, 10, 15 pounds, because these things aren't cheap. You're doing thousands of online transactions to muddle your coins up with many other people, so they pop out at the end, so they can't be traced. That's what CoinJoin is. No, it's
obviously. We say that they can be traced. It's just,
I suppose like we've got examples where they could be, depending on how much you want to be investigated. If you run off of $1 billion and someone investigates it, then maybe they could find it. But if you're doing relatively low amounts, it's much harder to trace. It's the large amounts that are easier. So the people that got caught are the people that are like trying to money launder hundreds of millions worth of either Bitcoin or a random shitcoin. And the problem is when you go into Wasabi, their liquidity is relatively low. So when you rock up with 100 million, there's only another 20 million sat on the other side. So when you mix 100 million into 20 and it pops out the other end, it's not too hard to figure out where the 100 still is. It's like they came out here, and here. Like there's another 20 over there, but we're pretty sure. Whereas if you're just throwing in £1,000 worth, that £1,000 is now getting thrown into the liquidity of 20 million. All gets jumbled up and pops out the other end. It's very hard to track through £1,000 worth of Bitcoin through a CoinJoin.
The CoinJoins, sorry, the coins that are in CoinJoin, or obviously the process, could that have potentially come from a platform or an exchange that doesn't necessarily perform KYC? Because in certain jurisdictions, they may not be as stringent as EMEA.
Yeah, you don't know where it comes from. It's just other users. So it could come from, it's just whoever's wanting to CoinJoin at any one time. Which is why sometimes people try and scaremonger and go, oh, it's going to be a load of drug dealers, terrorists. They're the ones going to be using CoinJoin. So the risk is that your Bitcoin gets mixed with terrorist Bitcoin and then pops out the other end and you have terrorist Bitcoin. Like, oh no. It's like, it's most of the people doing it are just people that want to have non-KYC Bitcoin.
It could be worse. It could be truckers Bitcoin.
Asian truckers.
Yeah.
But it looks good. It looks good. I really hope this is more of this is a trend. I really want more CoinJoin to happen on.
There seems to be quite cool things happening with hardware wallets. So we've got Jack Dorsey, who's looking at the different ways of authenticating. So I think it was a server-side device and biometrics. So bringing the three together. There's this bringing in Wasabi into Trezor. And it's just like we're starting to see some innovation on the storage now, which is what we talked about probably a year ago. It probably is the hardest stage it's like getting your head around the fact that you've got to put it on Ledger, you've got to take it off in exchange, you've got to store your 12 or 24 words, you've got to store it in different ways, you've got to hide all the stuff, you've got to have a plan, other people have got to understand it. And like just having a couple of things like this is like definitely making massive strides forward.
Yeah, it's just a shame that the hardware wallet that I use, Ledger, all their innovation is in shitcoins. Like every time I load that up, they got 3 updates. It's like now got support for this NFT or dots. It's like you're wasting all this time and energy on shitcoins. Like,
do you not want a Bored Ape?
I know. It's like just put CoinJoin in here. Just make this more user friendly. Like Jesus Christ, secure Bitcoin better. Don't stop wasting your time on these shitcoins.
We were having a look the other week, and they've discontinued the Nano S, and and they're pushing you onto this one with Bluetooth on it. And it says it's got a great battery, and like they're saying, the Bluetooth secure. But okay, here's an example: someone breaks into my house. I've stored it, I don't know, in my chimney or wherever. I haven't, by the way, because you couldn't fit anything there. And they don't know where it is, but surely they can pick up that Bluetooth signal, so they know it's there.
And I don't think it's got any power. Has it got? I don't think it's got a battery in it, has it? Or has it?
I think it does.
Yeah, the battery will be on when it's on, for example, so it won't emit a Bluetooth signal unless, of course, you're using it. So
not plugged in.
Yeah, or not plugged in. So there's like, small risks that you've plugged it in, you're on, somebody's obviously around, they've got to be close enough to the property within 10 meters to pick up the Bluetooth.
So someone who lives in a flat.
Yeah.
It's still a risk. It's still mounting up risks.
There's still risks.
So I thought it was on all the time. Risks. I thought it was some long-standing battery, but my misunderstandings. But yeah, still, it's increasing risks which are unnecessary to make it look fancy.
I mean, if you're in a crowded place,
I totally agree on the Bluetooth risk as well, because what one of the features it has is it will Bluetooth into your phone, so you can keep track of your balance on your phone. Straight away on here, that I think that is a nightmare, because now obviously we know phones are very easy to hack. If they're updating via Bluetooth from your hardware wallet onto your phone, what is to stop someone being able to intercept that signal and send the signal back, which says, send this Bitcoin off this wallet? And the odds, and they've said it's impossible, but I'm like, I don't want this hardware wallet communicating to my phone.
It's even just tracking down the location. So it's okay, various phones are hacked and they get the location of phone, because you can do that off the coordinates, and then they've got an area where they know there is a Bitcoin hardware wallet, say with 10 Bitcoin or whatever. So it's well and truly worth robbing and tying up that house.
Yeah.
I know it's silly. I still use the Nano S, and I think they discontinued selling it, but it's still supported. So you've got one, it's fine. Because I'm not upgrading to the X. I've got a Trezor, I've got a cold card. I'll just move on to them. I'll probably move away from Ledger once the X is done. I've got Bitcoin on all of those wallets anyway, but the Bitcoin I have on Ledger, I'll probably move off. If they ever even suggest they're discontinuing Ledger S and the support, then I'm off, and I'll stop being a customer, because it's just a shitcoin wallet in reality that happens to also store Bitcoin.
Well, the Ledger Nano S Plus doesn't have the Bluetooth piece, so it just allows you to add more shitcoins on there. So there is that.
You're paying for innovation in the Ledger for something which you don't want. It's actually just produce a Bitcoin wallet. So Trezor, I think, does that.
Yeah, Trezor does shitcoins as well. The only one that really does only Bitcoin is Cold Card.
That looks like a calculator, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that where you type in your code on that one? Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting design. Not really sure why I did it that way, but yeah.
So it looks like, those HSBC calculators from a few years back.
Yeah. It does. I think according to NVK, who's the guy that created it, he says it's more secure. Like the the second you have these screens and stuff, like they can number one, I think it said that's less usable, and also there's more attack vectors there, but the buttons apparently are more secure or something, but I don't know. It looked a little.
I was going to say, just going back to your point before about obviously having a ledger in your property, is that essentially, I believe that everyone will have one or some form of ledger device. So it's like once upon a time, mobile phones used to be the hot thing to to steal and sell. Whereas now it's not really. People used to steal TVs, didn't they? Like burglars used to come around and steal. Like, who's going around and stealing a TV? Because they're just so accessible to everyone. So yeah, it's super early, but I think eventually it will just be a thing of, well, everyone's got one.
Sweet.
Right. Next one is hack of the week. Guy screenshots his backup words and loses his money.
Yes, unfortunately, I've realised this has been deleted. So
when I went to read it, I was like, oh great, but I think I got the gist of it from the comments and Reddit of what went on. I was just like, fucking Ethereum. Arseholes.
Yeah, because what the story used to say was it's a long rambling thing about a guy that had a load of money, and he put it into Celsius to begin with. So we all know what Celsius did, right? They promised you X% of returns every month, and they went bust and stole it all. They gambled it and lost. So this guy had said he'd lost like 50, 60K or something in Celsius, and he was just rebuilding. And he'd managed to build himself up another 5 or 10K, he said, over the last couple of months. And he went on this rambling story about he put it here, he put it there. I don't know if someone got it here, got it there. And then mixed in, he just went, oh yeah, I did screenshot my 24 words, but I deleted it from iCloud, so I think I was safe, and just carried on going. And obviously all the comments are just like, dude, this whole explanation of where you think the hack happened, you admitted to screenshotting it. The second you screenshot it and it goes on iCloud, it is never deleted. There's going to be a copy of it somewhere. So what's happened is someone's got into your iCloud, or weirdly, there's lots of other ways of getting access to your photos. Lots of other apps, when you download them, ask, can we have access to your photos? Because you might want to post that photo, edit that photo. So a lot of these apps go, oh yeah, we're a photo editing app, we're a meme creating app, whatever it might be. You download that, you give it access to your photos, but behind the scenes, that app is not really a photo editing app. It's not a meme creating app. Really what they're doing is they're looking at everyone's photos and seeing everyone's being really stupid, and there's 24 words screenshotted in there. And the second they see it, they empty the wallet. And that's what happened to this guy. But it's no surprise, is it? He got done in Celsius, lost all his money there. He tries to rebuild and he screenshots his 24 words on the way. And he loses it all again because he just went into his wallet one day and all his Bitcoin, ETH, and various shit coins had all just been emptied. It's like, dude, I would like to feel sorry for you, but this is just.
We bought ETH, so enough said.
Yeah.
Talking of which, as well, there's a move from proof of work to proof of stake, right? Coming up next week, mid-September. So it'd be interesting to see, is this where Ethereum breaks? And that will definitely cause a lot of waves in the market, even though it is Ethereum based.
Yeah, the best thing for Bitcoin really could be if ETH literally just fucks itself completely next week and it's moved from proof of work to proof of stake, fails, and they just lose all the money. Nearly every other shitcoin is somehow based on Ethereum being the platform, and there's some type of application on it. It completely destroys the shitcoin story. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to fail. And even if it did fail, I don't think it would result in total loss because it's so centralized that Vitalik would just roll it back. If it fails, all it will fail in doing is it will still be on proof of work. They won't be able to move a proof of stake. They'll just stay where they were. Because if this was Bitcoin doing something like this and it failed, it would be over. Experiment over. We tried. We pivoted to a thing. It broke Bitcoin. There's no way of rolling that back. Like we're just done. Like every step has to be forward. Because we're not centralized, we can't just roll back and completely undo the immutable chain. The only stage forward on a proper blockchain is forwards. But in Ethereum, they've already proven they go backwards, which means it's not immutable anymore because they're centralized. They can just delete part of the blockchain, go back, and then just pretend that bit never happened. They did that on the DAO hack about 7 years ago when people one guy stole like 400 million or something of everyone's money. They just rolled back the chain before he took the money. So I would imagine the same thing will happen next week in some shape or form. Though I don't think it'll happen next week. Number one, I was
going to say that I don't think it's going to happen, and I also think in the worst case scenario is their ETH 2.0 similar to like Bitcoin Cash and then Bitcoin or classic Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think they're really going to struggle. It's very confusing because a lot of people don't understand what's going on. There's going to be like two chains, and it's like which one is ETH? And correct. I think the way it's going to be is the new ETH is going to keep the ETH name from now, but it's technically on a different blockchain because it's on a proof of stake one. The old ETH is going to be on the old blockchain. It's going to continue though. Some people are going to continue mining it. I think that one's called ETH proof of work or something. And then I think there's another set of people going to fork it again at the same. It's a complete like clusterfuck. It reminds me of Bitcoin back in 2017 when it forked for the first time. And there was Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Platinum. It was confusing as fuck. It was a very bad time for Bitcoin. Everyone was just like, which is the Bitcoin? And now ETH is doing through it, but we went through that as a contentious. There was like a civil war within Bitcoin of like how big the block sizes should be. So we got kind of forced into doing that. ETH doing this voluntarily. They want to move to proof of stake, but
because I do think like we've spoken about, it may not necessarily been directly on the podcast, but Facebook is ultimately the only killer that can kill itself. Ultimately. And so Ethereum may kill itself and nothing else. It could carry on as is, and being number two would continue to rise as Bitcoin rises, and everything could be absolutely fine. But by doing this, they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position, and again, potentially the marketplace as well.
I also still don't understand why they're doing it. Is it to appease the authorities?
It's to appease the woke crowd because it's the whole environmental thing. They've gone, proof of work's bad for the environment. We're moving to proof of stake. The real reason they're moving is because it's nearly impossible to run an Ethereum node. You can't run it with proof of work. It's full of JPEGs and bollocks and shitcoins. So just like how like anyone can run a Bitcoin node with a Raspberry Pi. Basically for $99, you could fire up a Bitcoin node, download the whole blockchain, and be a node. To do that on Ethereum, you need like nearly a supercomputer because the blockchain is so fucking big that there's only like 8 nodes. So to call that their chain like proof of work, it's like 8 people do proof of work, and it's Vitalik and 7 of his mates. So by moving to proof of stake, all it really means is they don't have to run these huge nodes anymore for proof of work. Instead, they run proof of stake nodes instead. But it obviously hugely centralizes their thing, but they don't have to use huge amounts of electricity now to secure the network. But the electricity they were using wasn't securing their network anyway, because there's only 7 guys doing it. So it was still centralized. So in reality, it makes sense for Ethereum to move to proof of stake because proof of work is a genuine waste of energy. I actually agree, because they weren't securing anything. They're securing a centralized protocol that could be compromised by arresting 7 people. Bitcoin is decentralized using this energy because there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people all running those miners. That's a good use of energy because we're decentralizing sound money. There's no point wasting any energy on Ethereum. Just centralize the shit out of it, put it on a database like proof of stake, and let the more ones do what they want on it.
Watch this space. I'm sure we'll probably have some stories on it as well. No doubt in Shitcoin Corner of the Week. And our last story for the week is the exchange rug pull. Right, so crypto founder arrested for running off with customer funds.
Yeah, faces 40,000 years in jail.
Yeah.
So this was a Turkish guy, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know he's arrested in Turkey.
Yeah, so he's a founder of the Turkish cryptocurrency exchange Thodex.
Oh yeah, he is Turkish as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, he got arrested in Albania.
Yeah, arrested in Albania.
$2 billion worth of crypto. But this is just another story. It's just the tired kind of example. It's another exchange that didn't know existed. Obviously, they built up the reserve to $2 billion. The guy just runs off, doesn't he? And the good thing about this, at least, is that they caught him.
Yes.
I don't know where the hell that prison sentence comes from. Like 40,000 years. Like I've seen serial killers get hundreds of years in prison. I've never seen anyone get 40,000 years.
Same. Yeah.
The bit which was missing off this one, did he run with the money? Or did he run because they made it illegal to deal in crypto in Turkey?
Oh.
Because this is a really good point, because if he ran, because you can feel a bit more sorry for him because he ran, because Turkey are going to go, we're going to put you in fucking prison, so he went, fuck it, I might as well go. But if he's running with money, obviously he's a scumbag. But I think it's the first. I think it's because it got made illegal and they went, we're going to arrest you, so he went, oh, better go.
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it? It depends what he did with that 2 billion. Was it just in his company? Because the thing is, if you could run and leave the platform up and let everyone just take their funds out. The way this reads is the funds were not able to be taken out and he ran off with them. Who knows?
It just doesn't go into the detail.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it won't. Of course it won't. Yeah.
Because that would be a very interesting, that suddenly that would turn this guy from a criminal into essentially a hero, where he was just a victim. He was like the Coinbase of Turkey, and they came for him, so he ran, and now they got him, and they're doing him on some type of kingpin type charge. Whereas in reality, all he's doing is running a decent business that suddenly was made illegal overnight. But who knows? Because this article is from quite a random site, so it's not really. I'm not sure how biased they are either way. It could be. I think it is like a crypto.
So, quick Google. It says Oza is accused of creating a criminal organization and committing fraud in Turkey. That's very open.
I found something as well that just with regards to the regulation, I'll just read it super quick, but essentially there is a regulation by the Central Bank of Republic of Turkey prohibits the use of crypto assets as a payment instrument in large transactions. This regulation guide have now come into force to aim to preventing the use of cryptocurrencies in terrorist or criminal activities due to their decentralized and untraceable features. All this comes in the wake of one of the biggest cryptocurrency scams in Turkey's history in 2021, when some 400,000 people were defrauded of more than $2 billion. Again, it doesn't go on to state whether or not they were able to get that money back, because again, if they've caught him, then the money could be sent back to them, but we don't know whether or not they always had access to the money. And this is interesting as well, because I'm currently re-listening to The Missing Crypto Queen. And it's so interesting listening to it because it has elements of legitimate Bitcoin language within it, and is actually described as the perfect crime as well, in the fact that someone was there, she's now gone, the amount of money that they were able to raise, which was $15.8 billion apparently through OneCoin in the height of 2017. But of course, no one has been able to get any of that money back. So yes, it'll be fascinating to try and find out a little bit more about this one.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good from that description there. It does sound like he ran like illegitimately. It looks like he created an exchange purely to rug pull and run off with the customer funds. So
yeah,
as always, another example of just no. And the thing is, though, it doesn't really matter for the customers. Who gives a shit whether he ran off legitimately or the government stole the funds? Well, when he left, the like takeaway point is don't leave your funds on the exchange. They're always at risk.
And it's if you're not too sure about the exchange, do £50 initially, withdraw it straight away, and each time you do a deposit, withdraw it.
Yeah, we say this as well, but the only real safe place goes back to what we've been talking about is on a ledger, because your money is not equally safe in the bank. So we do have a podcast that is coming up all around security and the security of your Bitcoin and your custody of your Bitcoin. So watch this space where we'll be kind of going more in depth on that.
It's only taken, what is it, about 4 months in the making?
Yeah.
It's quite
good
quick.
Things and all of that.
I'll have to come up with some other kind of subjects, see if we get any other questions where we can do a whole show on.
Yeah. Before we go, wrap up. Any feedback on episode 65, aka Daddy? Great name.
Oh, other than the name being very awkward to send to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had any feedback yet. But I did ask him. He said, I can't send that to my dad. I'm like, you can.
Yeah.
I have to ask him again.
Well, I know the everyday man will be watching. So once, this pod episode 66 is uploaded, let us know if what the feedback is, and hopefully, we answered a lot of questions, but equally allayed a lot of fears as well.
He didn't insult his daddy too much.
No.
We had a conversation about how much you jizz in a pod, but that was about the only raucous bit of a pod. Actually, this one's been quite a clean pod until right now when I just said that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Look started with HJs and BJs in the beginning of the pod as well.
That's very tame.
Well, as always, we've been here for your listening pleasure. Thank you, wherever in the world you are listening to the world's most bullish podcast, which has been brought to you by Mr. All-In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Look, aka the Excellence of Execution, and naturally she was here, but she's never here, Mrs. No Show. Mrs. No Show does exist. We've sent her the link. Join on in. If you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, well done. Peace out.